Hey everybody, this is going to be a re-upload of a video report I did about 9 years ago on the Operation Northwoods document. For those who are unfamiliar what that is, it is a declassified government document which outlines false flag operations to be planned and executed by our own government against our own citizens and other innocent people. I'm re-uploading this because I think the current political climate demands it. For those who don't think something like COVID could have been set up and executed by our own government and or special interests, this document should be a pretty convincing window into what they are capable of and what they will plan and ultimately execute if they get a chance to pull it off. So without further ado, here we go. I uploaded this about 9 years ago, so here it is.
The intention of this video report is to go over some documents in the wake of this Boston bombing that happened. We're hearing people refer to it as what they call a false flag event. Now, I understand fully that that sounds completely ridiculous, that our government would ever play a role in killing Americans. It does sound completely ridiculous, and I think that's the reason why a lot of people won't even go look into something like that, is because it just sounds too over the top, does not sound like it could be real. I totally get that, and I was in the same boat for a long time. But as we'll see right here, and this is just one of many examples of our own government plotting to kill Americans to advance a political agenda. It's happened so many times throughout history. It's pretty ridiculous. But, you know, right here, I've got a mainstream article by ABC News titled, U.S. Military Wanted to Provoke War with Cuba. And this is just given an outline of this document over here. This is the actual document. It's a memorandum for the Secretary of Defense, and the subject is justification for U.S. military intervention in Cuba. And as you can see, it's signed by L.L. Limnitzer, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. See, this plan was green-lighted all the way up to President Kennedy. And I think you will see that it's extremely disturbing, some of the plans that they had in place to not only kill innocent people, but to run a huge disinformation campaign and trick the American people into supporting the invasion of Cuba. Now, I'm not saying that Castro and all those guys are good by any means, don't get me wrong. But what I am saying is people are just not aware of the types of things our own government and military will do to its own citizens to advance an agenda. So let's just get into this document right here. And I've got an area highlighted right here. I'll just read from it. This plan, incorporating projects selected from the attached suggestions or from other sources, should be developed to focus all efforts on a specific ultimate objective which would provide adequate justification for U.S. military intervention. Such a plan would enable a logical buildup of incidents to be combined with other seemingly unrelated events to camouflage the ultimate objective and create the necessary impression of Cuban rashness and irresponsibility on a large scale, directed at other countries as well as the United States. And it goes on to say, the desired result from the execution of this plan would be to place the United States in the apparent position of suffering defensible grievances from a rash and irresponsible government of Cuba, and to develop an international image of a Cuban threat to peace in the Western Hemisphere. Let's jump back here now. I'm telling you, this document gets very detailed. If you can just bear with me with some of this dry stuff here. Since it would seem desirable to use legitimate provocation as a basis for U.S. military intervention in Cuba as a cover and deception plan to include requisite preliminary actions, such as has been developed in response to Task 33, could be executed as an initial effort to provoke Cuban reactions. Harassment plus deceptive actions to convince the Cubans of imminent invasion would be emphasized. Our military posture throughout the execution of this plan will allow a rapid change from exercise to intervention if Cuban response justifies. Now, here is where it gets interesting. A series of well-coordinated incidents will be planned to take place in and around Guantanamo to give genuine appearance of being done by hostile Cuban forces. Incidents to establish a credible attack. Number 1, start rumors. 2, use land-friendly Cubans in uniform over the fence to stage attack on base. Capture Cuban-friendly saboteurs inside the base. Start riots near the base, main gate. Blow up ammunition inside the base, start fires. Burn aircraft on airbase, sabotage. Lob mortar shells from outside of the base into the base, some damage to installations. Capture assault teams approaching from the sea or vicinity of Guantanamo Bay. Capture militia group which storms the base. Sabotage ship in harbor, large fires, naphthalene. Sink ship near harbor entrance. Conduct funerals for mock victims. So they would conduct these funerals on the news, and all of the American people tuning into the news would believe the lies and propaganda coming from our own government, and therefore gain the support to invade Cuba. These are the types of deceptive plans that they use all the time. This document is one of many instances. I'm just using this one because it's a pretty telling window inside the minds of these people. So we go down here. We could blow up a U.S. ship in Guantanamo Bay and blame it on Cuba. We could blow up a drone vessel anywhere in Cuban waters. We could arrange to cause such incident in the vicinity of Havana or Santiago as a spectacular result of a Cuban attack from the air or sea, or both. The presence of Cuban planes or ships merely investigating the intent of the vessel could be fairly compelling evidence that the ship was taken under attack. The nearness to Havana or Santiago would add additional credibility, especially to those people that might have heard the blast or seen the fire. The U.S. could follow up with an air-sea rescue operation covered by U.S. fighters to, quote, evacuate remaining members of the non-existent crew. Casualty lists in U.S. papers would cause a helpful wave of national indignation. So basically, they want you to read that in the paper and believe it and get upset. This is what they do. They pull on your heartstrings with fake incidents to get your support for things that they wouldn't have been able to get your support from before. Number 4, we could also develop a communist Cuban terror campaign in the Miami area, in other Florida cities, and even Washington. They were going to stage terror attacks in these cities, killing Americans to get your support. What a nice government we have. You know? I mean, this is ridiculous. The terror campaign could be pointed at Cuban refugees seeking haven in the United States. We could sink a boatload of Cubans en route to Florida, and then in parentheses, real or simulated. So, either going to just kill a bunch of Cubans and say they were terrorists, or just fake it and tell the news and have everybody believe it. We could foster attempts on lives of Cuban refugees in the United States, even to the extent of wounding in instances to be widely publicized. Exploding a few plastic bombs in carefully chosen spots, the arrest of Cuban agents, and the release of prepared documents substantiating Cuban involvement also would be helpful in projecting the idea of an irresponsible government. So there you go, blow up some bombs and then create fake documents saying that these people were involved. The document goes on to say, hijacking attempts against civil air and surface craft should appear to continue as harassing measures condoned by the Cuban government. Concurrently, genuine defections of Cuban civil and military air and surface craft should be encouraged. It is possible to create an incident which will demonstrate convincingly that a Cuban aircraft has attacked and shot down a chartered civil airliner en route from the United States to Jamaica, Guatemala, Panama, or Venezuela. The destination would be chosen only to cause the flight plan route to cross Cuba. The passengers could be a group of college students off on a holiday or grouping of persons with common interests to support chartering a non-scheduled flight. An aircraft at Elgin Air Force Base would be painted and numbered as an exact duplicate for a civil registered aircraft belonging to CIA proprietary organization in the Miami area. At a designated time, the duplicate would be substituted for the actual civil aircraft and would be loaded with the selected passengers, all boarded under carefully prepared aliases. The actual registered aircraft would be converted to a drone. And it goes on to say how they would blow this airplane up and convincingly trick the American people into believing it, therefore causing support for invasion of Cuba. Now this stuff is commonplace. That's what I want everybody to know. And here we go on. It talks about tell the U.S. what has happened to the aircraft instead of the U.S. trying to sell the incident, you know. So basically make it look very real so you don't have to try to convince people of it. They just take it as fact. This is what we're dealing with. You know, we're raised to believe that our country or people in our government are different than other governments, when it's simply not true. They engage in these types of things against us. You know, I took an oath to support and defend the Constitution against enemies foreign and domestic, and what we're seeing and what has been going on for a very long time is people in our own government doing stuff like this. This is one of many documents, like I said, and I'll be doing some more video reports to cover some of those other documents. I just wanted to get this out there to give a little window into the minds of what members of our own government are willing to do for political agendas. So there you go. Please share this with as many people as you can. Spread the word. We all got to wake up to this stuff. As soon as we do, their game ends. So thanks a lot for watching, and everyone have a blessed day.